One of the greatest personal developments is being a mom and building a business alongside each other, because, man, it's not easy. It just brings up so much. And I think one of the biggest beliefs that I had to overcome that really held me back for a long time was the belief that I couldn't do well both. I couldn't do both of them well, rather, right? Like I couldn't be a great mom and a great wife and build an empire. Like I could have a little bit of success and be a good mom, but I don't know if I could have, like, there was a belief around me that I couldn't have it all. And I think it stemmed from, so much of our beliefs stem from our upbringing. And I, came from a very traditional home, and there was a lot of pressure on me to like be a mom and not work, even at, and even now. And so there was a lot of guilt associated with like focusing on career, focusing on my business. That wasn't mine to carry. It was mine that I took on. That wasn't my beliefs to begin with. And so I really had to go through working through my own beliefs that came from, passed down to me, and recognizing and choosing what I see as possible. And when I overcame that belief, everything completely shifted. And what I really realized, and I think this is probably the most important thing, is like we think we have to do all the things so often. Like we want to be multitasking, we got to do all the things, we got to be everywhere all the time to be good at what it is that we're doing. And what I started to realize, it's actually not the time that we spend, not the amount of time that we spend on the things we do. It really comes down with the effectiveness and the connected time that we have. Whether that's your time in your business or your time with your children or your time with someone that's important to you in your life, that my kids would take any day, like 20 minutes of undivided, like all about them, attention and full on, like all of me, than they would me being present somewhat during the day and half there and half thinking about something else. So I think it's like redefining what success looks like in areas of our life, and recognizing and having the belief, like, what if we could have everything that we want in each of those areas of our lives and no sacrifice?
Absolutely. You're speaking my language. I have that perspective that, like, what's the point if you're not living a delighted life? It can be more. And it doesn't mean that you don't have growth edges places and seeing where you can grow, but it's like, yeah, I can receive at that level. I can have all of the things that I want. And I remember I had a very good friend, and this was many, many years ago when I lived in California, different lifetime ago. And we went on a business retreat. We took ourselves on a little spa getaway, and we were sitting in a hot tub, and we were doing like a visioning practice, like, of, what our lives would be like when, we had made it, kind of thing. And I remember she looked at me and she said, and I was like, and I have this house and it overlooks these rolling hills, and I have this kind of relationship, and right? Like I was painting the whole picture. And she looked at me and she said, you can't have it all. And I was like, what? No, I refuse to believe that. And it's so, because I was deep in it, in the picture, but I don't know that you can have it all if you don't want it all. Okay, if that isn't your intention,
so good.
Right?
Yeah.
And I continuously ask myself, where am I limiting my all? Because we have different layers and levels to it. So I think that's really, really super smart. There was something else that you said that I wanted to circle back to. Let's see. Oh, the 20 minutes of undivided attention. That is so good. I just want to underscore that for our listeners, that huge. I think that's something. Would you agree with me that is something that the feminine in us really craves? Like, we just want to be seen. We want, like, the attention fully focused on us. Like, we want to be adored and cherished and really seen for who we are. And I just think that's important for kids and for people both, like, to have that level of presence.
Oh, it's so true. It's like everything comes from that. It's like being seen creates safety, it creates presence, it creates certainty, it creates significance, it creates the experience of love and intimacy, right? Into me, you see, like it creates that experience and it's, yeah, it's amazing to me that when we do spend that concentrated time with ourselves, with our loved ones, and on the things that we do in our business, how much greater the results are from that versus the amount of hours we can spend. Absolutely.
100%. Okay, let's shift from the metaphysical that we're talking about, or the more soft side, to shifting to Facebook, which is very tactical. Okay, but let's bring some of that. Well, why don't we just start with that? Let's go there. How I want to hear your whole sort of framework and perspective on Facebook groups, but I would love for you to start with like the energetics of it, because I think that's my trouble right now. And I'd love to validate that. Okay.
Yeah. So for me, like what I really realized was I felt like things were happening slowly for me in my business earlier on. And kept feeling like I was missing something, that I wasn't really in relationship with people. Like there was people on my list, but I wasn't really in relationship with them. And it brought me back to when I was in corporate. I remember one of my mentors saying to me, I asked her, I was like, what's the key to success? And she says, Christina, it's like really easy. And she's like, we're out for lunch over a glass of wine. And she leans in over the table and she says, I'll tell you what it is. I'm like, okay, great. She says, it's just about relationships.
Yeah.
I was like, at the time, I'm like, oh, that's not the answer I was looking for. But I remembered this. And I realized that where the gap was is like, I was missing connection. I was missing connection that was in building relationships. And I didn't have that. I didn't really know who my people were individually. Like I didn't know them. And so that's when I started my first free Facebook group. And I went from like struggling to hit a 5-figure month at the time to having a $30,000 month. I wasn't focused on selling. I was just focused on connecting and growing the group and bringing people in and focused out on them. And that was it. And the money followed. So I feel like connection, Facebook groups, if we look at like the foundation of it is gives us the opportunity to create intimacy, leverage connection with people that are in our audience. And that's really what creates conversions.